ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपदाय राधिकायै प्रियात्मने श्रीमद्भक्तिवेदान्त नारायण इति नामिने कृष्णलीलाकथने सुदक्षम् औदार्यमाधुर्यगुणैश्च युक्तं वरं वरेण्यं पुरुषं महन्तम् नारायणं त्वं शिरसा नमामि। युगाचार्य प्रभुं वन्दे नारायण करुणामयं राधादास्युलोभं दत्त्वा तारयते भुवनत्रयम्। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। First of all, I offer my unlimited Shashtang Dandavat Pranam unto the lotus feet of my most worshipable Srila Gurudev, Nitrila Pravishtom Vishnupad, Ashtodhya Shrimad Bhaktivedanta Srila Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ji, and I beg for his mercy, costless mercy, so that a person like me can be able to glorify him, remember his greatness, and fully devote oneself unto his lotus feet. Then I pray to all the Vaishnavas to give me mercy so that I will be qualified enough to glorify him. On the occasion of the centennial Vyas Puja of Srila Gurudev, we are all following according to our capability, and we are trying to glorify him. This is the success of our life. If we try to remember him every second, every minute, like Srila Prabhupada used to say, every breath, then our life is successful. And if you are able to remember like this, only then one will be able to glorify him. The real fact is, a blind person, no matter what, even if he enters a palace, he will not be able to say or experience or even tell what is there in it. So similarly, a blind person like me, without knowing the glories, without knowing the position of Srila Gurudev, how will I be able to glorify him? It's not possible. But still, by his mercy alone, and by the mercy of Srila Vaishnavas, maybe a little bit, even if that is external, still by their mercy I can be able to touch some of his glories. Because singing the glories of Srila Gurudev is the mission of our life, that makes our life successful. That is the purpose and the only object of a Guru Sevak. He is fully surrendered to Shri Guru. A Guru Sevak is fully surrendered to Shri Guru. He is, in every moment, he is just remembering his Guru, his glories and his teachings are touching his heart, and he is trying to follow the teachings of Shri Guru. And in each and every effort, he is only trying to please him. So, on this great occasion of the centennial Vyas Puja of Srila Gurudev, let us all join together and try to offer Pushpanjali unto his lotus feet and glorify him. First of all, I would like to tell that a great person like Srila Gurudev doesn't come often. I mean, such a person is very, very rare. We can see the teachings, the moods of Sri Gurudev is so special, is so full of love and affection and full of such an ethereal, like beyond this world experience thing. So it was his greatest gift to this world, the love and affection of the Braja Gopis towards Sri Krishna, Rag Bhakti. If only we are able to understand the greatness of this gift, his moods, only then one will be able to glorify him. Just as if one doesn't understand a person, nobody can tell who he is, what he wants, what he does. Just by saying some external activities alone, we cannot define a person unless we try to go deep, permeate through his heart and touch his heart. Only then one can be able to glorify him, realize him, understand him. So the greatest gift of Sri Gurudev, the love and affection of the gopis towards Sri Krishna is so rare, it's very rare. We can see even our Guru Varga, though they have written so many things in granthas, but still, while preaching, they first of all try to cut the jungle of misconceptions which was permeated throughout the world. It was like flooded for a long time. So first of all, Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Prabhupada, they try to cut this misconception, the jungle of misconception. Even the most magnanimous Param Pujyapad, Sri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada, he had a tough time in trying to convince people towards this Braja Bhakti. So he even had to cut the jungle of misconceptions. By doing so, the time had passed by. They couldn't actually give what they have come to give. So that was lost. So then that task of giving what has to be given, the original thing, the greatest gift, that task was given to Srila Gurudev. From the very beginning, his mood was always that our Guru Varga have cut the jungle. So that's enough. It's been a long time now. Now is the time to give what Shri Rup and Shri Raghunath tried to preach, what Shri Mahaprabhu came to give, what he tasted, and what Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur had written in his books. So now is the time. Though many people were not prepared, and unfortunately most of the the devotees of Sriman Mahaprabhu in different sanghas, they couldn't understand the depth and the beauty of the teachings of Shri Gurudev. Most of them, they only misunderstood it and tried to defame him by saying, what is he even teaching? He is always glorifying about gopis. This is so wrong. So, in this way, they didn't actually understand it. But Srila Gurudev, he used to give strong, convincing answers to these opposing arguments. He would say that in Srimad Bhagavatam, Shri Shukadeva Goswami Paji had told that no matter what you may try to get rid of your heart of the lust, anger, greed, and all the afflictions of the heart, but still one can never, even in millions and millions of lifetimes, one can never ever fully or completely cleanse one's heart of all these things. It's not possible at all. So, there Sri Shukadeva Goswami Paji had told, how is it even possible? Vikriditam prajavadubir idam cha Vishnu shraddhanvito anushrunuyad ata varnayedya bhaktim param pratilabhya labham hridrogam ashu apihinoti achirena dhira. So there it's been told that unless one hears the transcendental loving service of the gopis towards Sri Krishna, especially their Rasa Leela, from a pure and authentic, liberated and Rasik Vaishnav, and that too continuously in a serving attitude, then constantly glorifying it to a proper and qualified audience, only then the heart will taste the beauty of the love of the Brajavasis towards Krishna. And when the heart tastes the beauty and glories of the gopis' love towards Sri Krishna, only then this lowly and this diseased condition of the heart, Hridrogam, only then it will get removed. Even in Gita it's been told, prasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. Only when one gets the topmost thing, only then this lowly and the disease condition of the heart will get removed. But the problem is, not everybody is equally qualified by nature, by their nature. Not everybody is qualified enough to taste the nectar of the gopis' love towards Sri Krishna. Just as the cuckoo bird, by nature it tastes the beautiful the flowers and fruits of the mango tree, which are so much fragrant. And on the other side, the crows, by their nature, even though they may sit on the mango tree, but they may feel that the fragrance and the smell of the mango tree is not sweet enough or favorable. So they will fly to a neem tree and they may sit on it, and they may only taste the fruits, the bitter fruits of the neem tree, especially the Gyan and Tattva and things like this. So in this way, Shri Gurudev used to say, even though I may say the glories of the gopis' love towards Shri Krishna, but I don't fear that it may get misused, because most of the people are like crows who doesn't have proper sukruti to taste the nectar of these things, so they may find it bitter, and they may only taste the bitterness of the neem fruits. So I am not disturbed or perturbed by thinking that this thing may go into the hands of unqualified people. So in this way, Srila Gurudev, his mission from the very beginning was to give the beauty of this Raga Bhakti. Especially his moods, he was fully immersed in the teachings of Sri Rup and Raghunath. He was fully well versed in the teachings of Sri Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and especially Ujjwal Neelmani, and especially the moods of Sri Rupa Goswami Pad given in Stavamala, and the moods of Raghunath Das Goswami Pad given in Shri Vilap Kusmanjali, Stavamrita Lahari, etc. Etc. So in this way, he always teaches the moods of the Brajavasis, because only the sweetness of these Brajavasis, only when it touches our heart, only then the disease condition of the heart will be cured. Unless it's done, it's not possible. So Shri Gurudev, from the very beginning, he always used to say that if we don't take this nectar, if we don't taste this nectar, if we don't know what nectar is there to taste, we will be only sitting on the nectar of the material enjoyment, or heavenly enjoyments, or the least, the liberation, the enjoyment of liberation, etc. So Shri Gurudev was so merciful that to even the most unqualified people who don't even have any sanskar, who don't even know any of the things, no shastra, nothing. For even such a people, he, from the very beginning, he taught and he inculcated the teachings of Rupa Raghunath by imbibing in us the topmost goal of our life, that is Radha Dahasyam, the essence of teachings of Shri Rupa and Raghunath, which I think is very, 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 very rare, because even after coming to Shri Mahaprabhu's line, not so many people are fortunate enough to listen to these discourses on the loving pastimes of the gopis and Krishna, let alone get immersed in the rasa of this loving pastime. And if one doesn't get immersed in this pastime repeatedly, one may never get taste. And without getting taste, one may never get greed. And without getting greed, it's never ever possible to do sadhan, to attain the goal. So in this way, Shri Gurudev was so merciful to shower this nectar even among all kinds of unqualified people. I very vividly, I remember in 2003 when I came for the first time to Shri Keshavji Gaudiya Math in Mathura to get Diksha from Srila Gurudev. It was during Shri Janmashtami. So then I was fortunate enough to hear Katha from him. At that time he was giving discourse on the 6th chapter of the first part of Shri Bhagavad Bhagavata Amritam by Sanatana Goswami Pad, a top class and out of this world Grantha by Sanatana Goswami Pad and Shri Gurudev's near and dear Grantha. So I had the fortune to listen from him for a couple of days, and he was telling about the moods of the Vraja, their separation mood from Shri Krishna, the trees, the birds, the cows, the separation mood of the Vrajavasis. And I was sitting there and I was listening, and I was so much touched to the heart by these descriptions, which I felt upon repeated hearing, that it's not just a description out of mind or something, some imagination, but rather what I felt was it was like a reality indeed he was describing, and the whole atmosphere was like surcharged with Braja Bhakti. And I was not just listening to the description, I was actually seeing the trees, I was actually seeing the birds. I mean, it's real. It was so shockingly real. That's how powerful his description and how powerful his the transcendental vibrations. It was also transcendental. Nothing mundane, nothing imaginative. So, unless he was so merciful enough to feed us this nectar, I don't think a person, most brushed person like me, would stand even a chance to give up the material life, enjoyment, to give up those things and to completely surrender unto his lotus feet. It's not even possible. When one gets the nectar of a drop of that nectar, one just becomes mad. The worldly people may think you are just mad. Yes, it's total madness. Because that kind of sweetness, that kind of a nectar, happiness, it's not possible in this world. So Shri Gurudev was so magnanimous. If Mahaprabhu was Mahavadanyaya, most magnanimous, I would rather say Shri Gurudev was very, very, very most magnanimous person, at least at the present time. Because for a long time, even in this present time, mostly the preachers, Guru Vargas, mostly they have concentrated in only cutting the tree of misconception, jungle of misconception, nothing more. But Shri Gurudev, from the very beginning, he said, too much jungle has been cut now. Now is the time to put seed of the greed of Vraja Bhakti and to sprout the nectar of this love towards Sri Krishna. So from the very beginning, he took that stand, even though many of his God brothers, even the people in ISKCON and many other people, they couldn't fathom what he was doing. Some even repulsed by hearing Gopi, like a Gopi word was like a blasphemy or something. So, but Shri Gurudev, he just marched on. He just flooded the whole world with the prem of the gopis towards Sri Krishna. The teachings, if one hears his explanation of Venu Geet, it's just, it can blow your mind. It's nothing in this world. It's beyond this world. And unless one hears his description of Venu Geet, Gopi Geet, Brahmar Geet, it's totally impossible to even get a taste to enter into the Vraja Bhakti. Especially, I have seen personally so many times that Shri Gurudev, even among so much preaching activities, so much construction activities, so much festivities, so much brahmacharis, sannyasis, and so much management problems. Even in midst of all these things, he always was immersed in the Vraja Leela, especially the gopis' service attitude to Krishna, and especially Radha Dasyam. One time in Kartik, I remember he was so busy in so many things. Then it was towards the end of Kartik, so it was almost like finished, I think. So then one night I saw that he had his nightly malish, massage. Then he was just sitting for a while. So then there was some time actually. He took his massage, and there was some time for to take his prasadam. So I saw that he was reading the shlokas from Srimad Bhagavatam. Then after a while he finished reading and he kept the Srimad Bhagavatam. Then he took his prasadam. Then he was chanting his Naam, Mahamantra. Then he, after that, he went to take rest. So in the night time, before taking rest, I managed to sneak in and try to open the page where he had kept the bookmark when he had finished reading. And I saw that he was reading the Uddhav Sandesh part of Srimad Bhagavatam, where Sri Krishna sends Uddhav to Vraj to give his message to Shri Nanda Baba and Yashoda, and especially to Shri Gopi, Shri Radharani, and where Shri Radharani Brahma Geet is present. So in this way, I have seen him and heard him in the tapes also, always trying to remember only these things. The teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam, especially the Brajalila, even in that the gopis' love and affection and the service attitude towards Shri Krishna, Venu Geet, Brahma Geet, Raslila, Gopi Geet, and especially even in Chaitanya Charitamrit, he always focused on Sri Raya Ramananda Sambad, Sri Rupa Shiksha, then the Gambhira Leela. I never ever heard anybody even speak about Gambhira Leela, but I have repeatedly heard from Sri Gurudev how he was so much immersed in the Gambhira Leela, the beauty of it, and the way in which he tastes the rasa. It's not vulgar and it's not out of context. Rather, he sees his audience, what they can take, what they can digest, and he gives it in a proper attitude, that is the service attitude. That is, no matter what, whoever listens to these discourses, they will only get the serving tendency towards Krishna, not the worldly, lusty attitude. So that was his style. So he was very expert in trying to taste us all of this rasa, which is very, very rare. And he always was immersed in these things, in these topics, no matter what the situation was. It doesn't even matter. He was totally immersed in these things. And the result, one can see the result. I mean, that's his teaching. That if we are immersed in these things, then naturally, during the final time, we will only remember these things. In Puri, Shri Gurudev was manifesting his the sickness pastime, So then, towards the last days, he was totally immersed in the pastime of Mahaprabhu, the Vipralamba, the separation mood of Sri Mahaprabhu. So, he never spoke there at all to anybody. But still, one day, they brought him to the balcony from where he can sit and watch the ocean. So there, one day he sat and he was just spontaneously, he told to whoever was nearby, he told, oh, this was the place where Sri Mahaprabhu dived, and he thought that this was Yamuna. And then the fishermen caught him, and Swarup Damodar came here searching for him, and they found Sri Mahaprabhu, and the fisherman was like mad. So then Swarup Damodar slapped him, and then they knew that it was due to Sriman Mahaprabhu. And then they found Sriman Mahaprabhu, and they all started singing kirtan, and then Mahaprabhu slowly came to the external consciousness. So that's all he said. This was the place where Mahaprabhu dived into the ocean and got lost, and the fisherman found him. So from this we can, gauge the moods of Sri Gurudev, that where he is, though he is sitting here in Sea Palace in Puri, but he is totally immersed in the Leela of Sriman Mahaprabhu. So that's why one could see that upon his disappearance, Sri Gurudev's transcendental body was totally lit up like a golden hue, just like Sriman Mahaprabhu, or just like Sriman Radharani. That's his Upasya Devata, Upasya Devi. Just like that color, Sri Gurudev was also lit up totally in a golden hue. So, Sri Gurudev was, he was teaching us all that who I am, what Leela I am immersed in, just like Sri Radha, Sri Vinod Bihari. So this was the mood of Sri Gurudev, Vipralamba Bhava, totally immersed in a separation attitude, and totally feeling separation from their Ishtadev, Sri Radha Krishna, from their service. So this is all the mood, the teaching, and what he practiced his whole life, what he taught us. If not for him, if not he had taught us or shown us these things, it's totally impossible to even fathom what is Vraja Bhakti, why Mahaprabhu came, who are gopis, what is the goal of our life. We may just be chanting, and we may just go to like Swarga, we may even go and attain Mukti. That's all by chanting, nothing more. So he is so much magnanimous, most magnanimous in the present generation. He most mercifully gave us the destination, the goal of our life, though we may never be qualified to even think about it, let alone to reach it. That's his gift to this world. And not just that, one can even see what he practiced, his sadhan, before preaching, how he was totally immersed in the kirtan of these pastimes, no matter if there are only 2 people, no matter if there are only 20 people, totally immersed in glorifying this pastime and doing the chanting of the holy name. We have heard that he used to sleep only for like 2-3 hours in the night time, and then he used to wake up at like 2:30 in the morning, and then he used to chant. He used to do stavastutis. So in this way he had his sadhan, and he taught us, without sadhan, without strong foundation of sadhan, this kind of bhakti can never be consolidated, attained and consolidated. It may all just be a mental speculation, that's all. So sadhan has to be really, really strong. Just like Shri Goswami's Sankhya Purvaka Namagana Natibi Kala Vasani Krito. Srila Gurudev was so immersed in his sadhan, bhajan, and he taught us how he was yearning for the mercy of Shri Radha Vinod Bihari, just like Shri Rupa Raghunath, that whenever he used to say Shri Raghunath Das Goswami or even Shri Radhaji's name, he would just weep uncontrollably. That shows his attachment to the holy name and to the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani. And he used to say, he told, when he went to the west, so when he came back, after some time, the Brajavasis came to bless him. So during that time, Shri Gurudev told that I wanted to do bhajan like the Goswamis, just giving up the whole world, no taste, no attachment for these worldly things, just only crying, just only crying, O Radhe, Ho Krishna, where are you? Shri Govardhana Kalpa Pada Patale, Kalindi Vanye Kuta, He Radhe, Brajadevi Ke Chadalite Nanda Suno Kuta, O Krishna, O Radhe, where are you? So he told that I wanted to do the bhajan like the Goswamis and weep like the Goswamis, but Shri Gurudev, my Gurudev, Shri Srimad Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaji, and Srila Swami Maharaj Prabhupada, they both of them told me not to sit. They rather pulled my choti shika and told, no, you should not sit. You should go and distribute the mercy, the sweetness, the nectar that you have got. So you have to go and distribute it, because the whole world is suffering, so much suffering. So you should go. So Shri Gurudev said that though I was not willing, but they forcibly told me to go. So that's why I have tried to go everywhere. So that's why we can see, even in his old age, 80 plus, and his body was frail, fragile too, so many operations, heart problems, but still by taking tablets and medications and prescriptions, he traveled the whole world 32 times, so many times, and he mercifully tried to shower the mercy of Vrajavasis, the Gopis, the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, if he had not done that, nobody would have been saved from the threefold miseries of this material world, let alone leave this material world, and let alone get the taste for the Mahaprabhu's Raga Bhakti. So in this way, he himself practiced and he attained topmost bhakti, the nectar of the bhakti, and he distributed this nectar the whole world out of compassion. He is the most compassionate, magnanimous personality in this world. If not for his compassion, nobody would even know why Mahaprabhu came. It was a common thought till then for so many people that Mahaprabhu came only to give the Sankirtan movement. That's all. So Shri Gurudev taught, no, that can be done by any other avatars. Mahaprabhu came to give not just only that, he came to give Raga Bhakti Loke Kurite Pracharan. He came to give Raga Bhakti. Prema Rasa Niryas Kurite Aswadan Raga Bhakti Loke Kurite Pracharan. The main purpose was to taste the beauty of the excellence of the love of Srimati Radharani towards Krishna, and at the same time Mahaprabhu was most magnanimous that not only he wanted to taste it for himself, but he wanted to distribute it to all the proper candidates, jivas in this material world. So in this way, Shri Gurudev, he taught why Mahaprabhu came. We remember in each and every Kartik, each and every Navadip Parikrama, he always used to ask why Mahaprabhu came, and he used to tell all the sannyasis and brahmacharis to speak. He himself would speak later on. Even in Shri Navadip, he used to always discuss on the gifts of Sriman Mahaprabhu to this material world. So in this way, he practiced, he distributed. Without his mercy, we will not be standing here, we will not even have a chance to know the purpose of our life. We would just be wasting our life. So in this way, Gurudev's contribution to the mission of Sriman Mahaprabhu is so great, so superior, and so exalted that it is unfathomable to most of the people. But nevertheless, if one is not fully surrendered to him, begging for his mercy and trying to be humbler than a grass, begging for his mercy, it is no way possible to even understand him, let alone get his mercy. Even though one may be near him for a long time, even though one may have served him for a long time, but if we are not sincere enough, if we don't beg for the nectar that he is tasting, there is no way he is going to give that nectar. Rather, he may cheat. He may cheat by giving us the material things, not the topmost nectar. So we have to be very careful in what we want. That's one of the greatest the difficulties in the present time. Maya Devi, Kali Maharaj is so powerful that they deceive us. So we don't get the proper gifts from this Gurudev. We get cheated, we get lost. So we have to be very, very careful regarding this. Look at Shri Gurudev. He tried to serve the Vaishnavas. He tried to serve Guru Vargas. He tried to serve the God brothers. He tried to serve God brothers. His whole life he just served Shri Guru and Vaishnavas. And he was so, he taught us how to be sincere, how not to be swayed by so many material desires. Otherwise, it's very difficult to get lost. He himself showed how to live a very simple and very humble life, because this Vaja Bhakti, it's not possible unless one is fully surrendered. Of course, Shri Gurudev is not any ordinary person. He is an eternal associate of Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, associate of Srimati Radharani, who mercifully came to this world to spread the teachings, love and affection of the Brajavasis towards Krishna in this world, so that everybody can taste that nectar and become successful. We can see this even from his childhood, even in the village that he was born in Bihar. From then on, he was so much immersed in Ram Bhakti. He used to read Ramcharitmanas. He used to take bath in Ganga. He had so much nishtha in Ganga Bhakti, taking bath in Ganga, that even after coming to Math in Navadvip, he used to go to Ganga daily to take bath. That was his routine. He even told me once, asked me once, the day when we, Parikrama party went to Nirdaya Ghat, he asked me, did you take bath in Ganga? I tried to be smart, and I told him that when there is the Mandakini, the flow of Mandakini of Harikatha, so then what is the need to take bath in Ganga? So he smiled and then he told, no, when you get a chance, so you should take bath in both, that is in Katha and also in Ganga. So in this way, he tried to teach us how to give respect to Ganga. So that was his mood. So from his childhood, he used to take bath in Ganga, and he had so much, bhakti towards Sri Ramji. In this way, he was totally immersed in Ram Bhakti. So that's why when he was working as a police officer, when he got a chance to meet sadhus, when he heard the Krishna Katha from them, he was totally attracted to it, and he immediately he was able to give up this material world, which is, I mean, which was very, very difficult. He had brothers, he had sisters, he had wife. From her he had 3 daughters. I mean, it's very difficult. I would rather say it's impossible. In India, at least, it's impossible. But this Krishna Prem, Mahaprabhu's teaching, and especially Param Gurudev, he attracted him so much that just like Shri Bharat Maharaj, he just gave up this whole thing, just like one gives up our bodily waste in the bathroom. Just like that, he gave up this material world, the stool. So just like that, he gave up this material world. And even though his parents and his mother and his wife came, I mean, they found out somehow, and they came to Navadip, and they cried, and his mother told that I would take poison and die. And though Param Gurudev allowed him to go, but Shri Gurudev, he couldn't stay there long enough. He tried to convince everybody in the village. They all saw that, they all saw that he has got a great guru. I mean, he is not just fanatical enough. So, in this way, he convinced, but still he was bound by his familial affections and all these things. But he was able to break up all this bondage, and then one day, he just broke it up, and then he just ran away. So then his mother and father and his wife, they all thought that it's impossible to bind him anymore. Because when he came back the second time, the first time, he never entered his house. He only stayed outside his house, just like Sri Raghunatha Goswami Pad. So, I mean, that was his character. Impeccable character. So that's how much sincere he was from the very beginning. He came to the lotus feet of Param Gurudev. He served him. He did all kinds of service to Param Gurudev. He cooked, washed his clothes. He massaged his feet. He tried to listen to his katha very keenly. And in this way, Param Gurudev was so impressed with him, sincerity, that after some time when he wanted to give him sannyas, he asked him, I want to give you sannyas. And Gurudev, sincerely he surrendered to his lotus feet, and he told him, I have surrendered totally unto you. Whatever attachments that I have towards this material world, wife, food, clothes, happiness of this material world, father, mother, friends, whatever attachment is there, I am totally collecting them and offering it unto your lotus feet. I do not know anybody else other than you. So whatever you want me to do, I am ready to do. Whatever cloth you may give me, I am ready to take. It's your will. If you want to keep me in white, red, brahmachari, sannyasi, or even if you want to keep me naked, it's up to you. I'm totally surrendered to you. Upon hearing this, Param Gurudev was totally moved by the sincerity, surrender, and the mood of Shri Gurudev, that he, out of love and affection, some drops fell down from his eyes, and his god brother, Bhakti Kushal Shri Narsingha Maharaj, he said, "Oh, you have a very, very top class disciple." So in this way, Shri Gurudev, he taught us, unless one surrenders to Shri Guru, unless if we totally dedicate oneself to Shri Guru, it's impossible to get bhakti, leave alone Vraja Bhakti. So that's why he used to say all the time that Shri Guru Bhakti is the backbone of Bhakti. Guru Nishtha is the backbone of Bhakti. I mean, it's totally true. If we don't believe in Guru, or if we think that Shri Guru is just a mere mortal person, or if we try to find fault in him, or if we try to think that I am superior to Guru, things like this is the disease, the most despicable disease, and people, those who have this kind of disease, should be shunned. We should never even see their face, leave alone associate them, because it may not only destroy our bhakti, but it may destroy us completely, and we may be eternally taken to hell, and we may be made to suffer in this material world for a long, long time. Who would want to take that? I mean, unless one is crazy enough, one will not do this kind of thing. So we have to be very, very, very careful. Shri Gurudev taught us, even when he was in Govardhan for some time to do his bhajan, for some reason, when Shri Param Gurudev called him back, he came back to Shri Mathura, and when they met, it was Shri Guru and disciple meeting, both of them embraced each other and they wept. So in this way, we can see, without this kind of Shri Guru Bhakti, it's not even possible to get pure Bhakti, leave alone the Braja Bhakti. Especially to become the maid servant of Srimati Radharani, it's not at all possible. It's just, I mean, it will only be an imagination. So this kind of dedication is needed. If we think the Guru is some kind of a material person, a mortal being with faults and things like that, oh, that person is sure bound to go to hell. It's true that it's very, very difficult to fathom or to even understand a pure Mahabhagavat, pure devotee of Shri Krishna. Like, for example, we may never understand why he shunned the material wealth. Why not new mutts, new buildings, new curtains, new cars, and so many disciples, TVs, and this and that? We may never even understand these things. I mean, if he had wanted the whole world on the 14 worlds may fall at his lotus feet, but he shunned. He said, I don't want this wealth. I don't want these disciples. I don't want all of these things. All I want is only to become a speck of dust unto the lotus feet of Shri Rupan Raghunath. So that was his purity. So we may not grasp these things. We may not even grasp why he never built a sangha, why he never gave a formal shape, why he never even named a sangha's name. We may never grasp these things, but he was never interested in these things. He only wanted to give the topmost class of bhakti, which is only obtained to a sincere disciple who is totally surrendered and who is totally doing internal bhajan. But for those who are always running after external things and so many projects, it's not even possible to fathom why he didn't do all of these things. Because such is the glories of the Vraja Bhakti, the Sadhan, the Goswamis. They shunned the whole thing. So such is the nectar of this Vraja Bhakti that everything else feels like a stool, useless thing. I mean, the thing that this material world glorifies, that very thing is a lowly and stooly thing for these Mahabhagavats. So it's impossible for us to grasp their depth, their moods. I have heard this one time during Kartik, one of the near and dear servants, the so-called servants of Shri Gurudev, he was busy with the phone. So then Shri Gurudev, he kind of, humbly, he asked him, why you're always on the phone? I mean, is it necessary to be always focused on the phone? So then that Sevak, he jokingly told Shri Gurudev that, yes, it's necessary. So then Shri Gurudev asked, why? So then he said, oh, most of your seva are managed through this phone, so that's why it's necessary. But, I mean, that's true. I mean, that's fine too. But did we understand the mood of Shri Gurudev? Why did he ask us such a question? So this is the reason that today we are very, very far away from him, from his moods, from his feelings, from his gifts. We are so much satisfied with these material gifts that we don't have time to even contemplate on these gifts. That's our sad state. That's our sorry state, position. That's why we are all suffering due to our forgetfulness of Shri Krishna, these teachings of Mahaprabhu, teachings of Shri Gurudev. That's why the present situation we are all in, it's so pathetic, so disturbing, so heartbreaking. But still, if one is sincere enough, we may get the mercy of Sri Guru. During one of his last conversation, the morning walk conversations in Govardhan, one devotee asked him, there was one topic going on that one may have to go to Param Gurudev or Prabhupada, and slowly we have to develop like this. So then that devotee, he asked Shri Gurudev that, is it necessary to go? Can't you give these gifts to us? So Gurudev was silent for a minute, and then he said, yes, I can give these gifts also. But only if you have faith in me. I mean, that sums up everything. The messengers of Srimati Radharani, they come from time to time, from Prabhupada, from Swami Maharaj. They come from time to time, but out of our pitiful situation we are all in, we don't have time to listen to their teachings, message, nor do we have any faith in their message. We only want external or even material things, so that's why we all get cheated. So during this centennial Vyas Puja, I offer my heartfelt, humble Pushpanjali unto the lotus feet of Shri Gurudev, and I beg millions and millions of time unto his lotus feet that please, please, please kindly accept me as a speck of a dust of your lotus feet and make me servant of your servants life after life. I only want to taste that superior nectar that you yourself are tasting. Please make me qualified for that. And I don't care who thinks what he thinks about you, who has what feelings for you, but for me, you are always my everything, life after life. Je jan se jan, je bhave se bhave take, amito Gurudev pakshapati sada, kabu nahi heri take. Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Srila Narayan Goswami, Shri Guru Maharaj ki jai. The centennial Vyas Puja celebration ki jai. Tadiya Pushpanjali Samaroh ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.